welcome back to the show. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight we have an outstanding panel of town leaders to participate in our annual post-election analysis show. So with me tonight for the, how many times is it, Sheila? 16th time on the show.
Wow.
Sheila Pichette.
That's wonderful. Thank you so
Great
much.
to have you on the show, Sheila.
It's always
16
fun.
times. Because you've been a member of the school committee, and now you're a member of the finance committee.
I am.
You were the chairperson last year of the finance committee.
That's right.
You're a town meeting representative, precinct 4 still?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. You gave that up, yeah.
Unfortunately.
But will you be coming to town meeting? Or oh, yeah,
Yes.
for the finance committee.
I'll be
That's
there.
right, yeah. So it's great to have you on the show again,
Thank you.
Sheila.
Very nice to be here.
Thanks. And we have my friend Pamela Armstrong with us. How are you, Pamela?
Very good, Tom. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
For the 18th
18th
time. How about that, Pam? Only 2 more times and you achieved the gold panelist list.
I'm waiting for my invitations.
Yeah. 2 more. So Pamela has been a member of the planning board for many years, right? How many
Yeah,
years
10
was that?
years.
10 years on the planning board. You just got reelected as town meeting
Precinct
representative.
3.
Precinct 3.
Yeah.
And any other boards that I know you were on a bunch of
No, right
committees,
now,
but-
so
yeah.
that's it. Quiet time.
Well, you're a realtor too, right?
Yes,
So
I'm a
selling
realtor
real
for
estate
Coldwell
and everything.
Banker,
That
yeah.
always
Very
helps.
busy right now.
Good,
Yeah,
good.
Good market.
The inventory is tough in Chelmsford, isn't it? I mean, there isn't much for
It's
sale,
a
right?
seller's market right now. If you
Yeah.
put your house at the market, you'll get it sold and you'll get your
Nice.
price.
Nice.
Yep. Strong market.
Wow, that's fantastic. As long as people have inventory to give to you, for example, to sell them
Yes,
things, then
that would
then
be
it's
good.
fantastic. Yeah. Thanks, Pam, for
Thank
being
you.
here. 2 more times, top
more
20.
times.
And we have my good friend Capo Nick DeSilvio with us. How are you, Nick?
Very good, Tom.
Your 10th time on the show, double digits,
Double digits.
now
I'm
tonight.
excited. It's
This
special.
is fantastic.
Yeah, very special.
So as everyone knows, Nick is no longer a member of the school committee as of about 1 week ago, actually, exactly. He's a former member of the Chelmsford School Committee and a former town meeting representative,
Correct,
too,
yeah.
because you're so busy now traveling with
Yeah.
your consulting work. And
Well, actually, I'm not actually. I took on a full-time position with that same company that I was consulting for. They asked me
Really?
to come on board full-time.
Great.
So I'm running a couple of divisions for them, and one here and one in Maryland. So that's why I'm doing a lot of
Couple
travel.
of divisions.
They're not big. They're small. They're small companies. It's, not a lot of employees, but
Do you have to
very
travel to
busy.
Maryland
I was
often?
there last week. I'll be there this week.
Wow, well, it's a
Probably
good
next
thing
week.
then you gave up the school committee,
Well,
because
it's
that
not
takes
fair.
a lot of time.
Yeah,
right?
and it's not fair. It wouldn't be fair to the rest of the committee members or really the citizens. If I gave my word to be there, I have to be there. So
Yes,
I just
yeah,
can't
it's a
do it.
very
Just can't do it.
time-consuming job.
So
Well, thanks for being here
Oh,
for
my
the
pleasure.
10th
No,
time.
thank you for inviting
Nick.
me.
My pleasure. And we have my good friend Janet Askenburg with us for the 12th time.
Woohoo.
How about that, Janet?
12.
A dozen. So
Thank
8
you.
more and you'll get the top 20 list.
That's what I strive for.
that's what we live for.
Stay
on my
awake at
bucket
night.
list.
Yeah, I gotta get 8 more. How can I do that? Oh my God.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. So Janet, as everyone knows, is a member of the Chelmsford Board of Selectmen. I think you've completed 2 years now on
Yes,
the
I have.
board.
Yes.
Nice. And also you were a former member for 3 years at Chelmsford School Committee.
Yes, that's correct.
Nice. And you're a partner in your company that you work for.
A
I know
principal,
that.
yes.
Principal, yeah. Any other things you want to mention for the introduction? Or
No, that's enough.
okay, great. Well, we'll have a good time, right,
Well,
Jan?
yeah, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh, my pleasure. Every time I have these post-election shows, I like to have my good friends on there because we like to have a good time, but also talk about something serious like the election, which took place exactly 1 week ago today. So we have a lot to talk about, and I thought the first thing we might want to talk about is the Board of Selectmen race. First, if we could get your overall comments on that, and then we'll have an open discussion after that, okay? Maybe if we could start with Sheila
Sure,
Pichette.
that's
so
great.
your thoughts? Oh, let me just quickly read what happened. We had 4 candidates for 2 seats. George Dixon received 2,839 votes. Laura Merrill also won the election with 2,838 votes, just 1 vote difference, which is amazing. And Pat Wojcik, who had been on the member of the Board of Selectmen, is no longer, because she came in 3rd at 2,725 votes. And Louis Marino, the first time running for Selectman, received 1,249 votes. So Sheila, what are your overall thoughts generally about the Selectman race?
Well, overall, I think it was a wonderful race. I mean, I think it's really a tribute to Chelmsford to see people running as they did. Very supportive of their ideals and their opinions. And basically standing up for their opinions and explaining them, but not knocking anybody else down for theirs. So that was very, very good. I think that the end result, with George winning and Laura winning, was that the community was really torn between a change and to remain stable with what was going on already. So I think that having George in there as a constant person and electing somebody new kind of fulfilled that thought.
Yes.
So looking at a community as a whole, I think that's why that happened. I do feel bad for Pat. I think she was a wonderful selectman, and she did all that she could. She really had her heart and soul into the job. And Lou, I think he should be very proud of his campaign. I think it was very good numbers for the very first time. And I think they should both try again and run again, because Chelmsford's very, very lucky to have all these people running with such high integrity.
Thanks, Sheila. Pam, your thoughts on Selectman race?
Well, I want to congratulate George and Laura on winning, and I do think they all ran a very good campaign. It was very clean and very informative. I'm disappointed Pat didn't win, because I think there's a lot Pat does for the community that people don't realize. I actually made a list so I wouldn't forget. But she, and I'm hoping that the selectmen and Paul maybe leave her appointed to some of these committees, because I think it's important to have a strong voice and a face from Chelmsford. And if there's no one else able to do it because they work and they're busy, and she is able, I hope she can still continue on some of the boards. But I know she's our rep to NEMCOG, New England, Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, right. The Oak Hill Site Plan Committee, Master Plan Implementation, the Military Community Covenant, which she helped to launch, and she serves on the LTRA Advisory Board, and the Upper Merrimack Valley Medical Reserve Advisory Panel, and the firefighters had asked her to serve on their 9/11 Memorial Committee. So again, I'm hoping that she can still serve on a lot of those committees, because I think that she's very dedicated and has put a lot of time into establishing committees and supporting Chelmsford in those ways. So I'm hoping, like Sheila said, she runs again. I think she's an asset to the town. And I do agree that having Laura and George win so closely does tell the community exactly what Sheila said. Somebody who's stable and who's been there, and I have to say George has done so much for Scotty Hollow, where I live. He's worked really hard to help us with some issues up there with National Grid. I don't think we'd be where we are now and have our issues resolved if we didn't have him fighting for us. And Laura's a new face. I think they want new blood on the selectmen and see if any changes can take place. So, yep, that's my
Thank
thoughts.
you. Thanks, Pam. Nick, your thoughts?
It's always interesting when an incumbent, does not win, and it's interesting. I was actually surprised, even though there was a lot of, you drive around town, you see how many signs are out. People always ask me, so what do you think? And I'm like, signs don't vote. I mean, yes, they're out there, but signs don't vote. You got to get your vote out. It was still a close race. I mean, the three top runners were within a couple of hundred votes of each other, and in a two-person race, that's really close, because I know it's not known, a lot of people, but some people, let's face it, some people bullet vote.
Yeah.
They'll vote
Oh, yeah.
their just candidate, and they won't cast a second vote. And you could tell by looking at the blanks that there were a lot of blanks there. And I agree with Sheila as well, as in regards to Lou. I think he did a nice job. First time running for really a public office at that level. And he made his points. He got across, and I thought he did a pretty good job. So, again, Pat did a wonderful job for the town, and I know will continue to do a wonderful job for the town. She's one of those folks that's going to be there no matter what. She loves Chelmsford. She's going to work hard no matter what committees she's on, and I'm sure she's one of those people that if you call her and say, I need you on this committee, she'll be the first one to step up.
Right.
So,
Thank
and
you.
I hope she doesn't, go away.
Yeah, and later on in the show, we'll talk about who's up next year and what might happen next year, and whether we think maybe Pat might run, that kind of thing. So later on in the show, we'll talk about that. And so, Janet, your thoughts about the selectman race?
I thought what was very interesting was there wasn't much talk about the selectman race, because I think the school committee race dominated it, and I don't think there was any one very big issue within the selectman race to talk about. But what I really liked was it seemed to be a very respectful race, and the four candidates got their points across. Laura Merrill had contacted me, I think it was very early January, and I'd never met her before, and she called me and said, you know, you're a current selectman, you work, you're a mother, how do you make it all happen? I'm thinking of running. And I told her, I said, you're going to need a lot of support at home for that. I said, but I'll caution you, if you're thinking of running in this election, Pat and George are very strong, and you're going to have a very big uphill battle. But God bless you. Good for you for thinking about it. And she ended up pulling papers, and I just, you know, I give her credit. She was out there, and I don't think she knew many people. Many people didn't know her, and she got out there and got the vote. Yeah. And, you know, I got to hand it to Lou. I think he had tough odds as well. And but he was out there, and he was positive, put ideas out there, and that's what this is all about. So I commend them all. And last night we had a good selectman meeting. You know, we all got along well. It was great. A lot of good conversation, and in the end, that's what it's all about. So.
Yes. Thank you, Janet. And later on in the show, we'll talk more specifics about the Selectman campaign. We'll show the buttons, campaign buttons, the postcards, the mailings, talk about the debates, the campaign parties, just about everything. But we'll save that for a little later on in the show. But see if anybody else has any comments about the Selectman race. We could just have an open discussion, or we could move on. But I'll just leave it up to you guys.
I think we're
And
good.
ladies.
Yeah.
We're good? Okay. In the school committee race, we had, as everyone I think in the whole Merrimack Valley knows, because the Lowell Sun really loved covering the school committee race. I think because Sal Lapoli was one of the candidates, and he has such a high visibility, given that he owns Sal's Pizza, Salvatore's Restaurants, 3 million square feet of real estate, his companies in Lawrence. He's a very successful business person. So I think that's why the Lowell Sun, I think, wanted to cover him so in depth, because he's so well known in the whole state, really. There was talk of him running for governor at one point, a year or two ago. And as everyone knows, I'll reiterate again, Nick DeSilvio left that seat, decided not to run for re-election this year because of other priorities, right? Other commitments. So that left, had one open seat this year on the school committee. So first, Anita Tonini pulled papers first, if I recall correctly. And there's been a big controversy, maybe which we'll talk about in the comments here, with the budget and the school committee, $800,000 and, you know, in debt, deficit, that kind of thing. So Anita Tonini got out there right away and was quite a little bit upset and concerned about it. So she started going to the school committee meetings, and then as soon as she could, pretty much, she pulled papers for school committee. And then, I don't know, exact 2 or 3 weeks later, Sal Lapoli decided to run because he is also very concerned about fiscal responsibility. He has children in the school, 2 children in the school system in Chelmsford. So he just wanted to do a great job as well. We're lucky to have 2 great candidates here running for school committee. So, but in the end, Sal Lapoli won the seat that was previously occupied by Nick DeSilvio. Sal received 2,870 votes, and Anita Tonini received 2,562 votes. So Pamela, maybe if we could start with you this time for your overall comments on the school committee race.
It was a tough race because they were both great candidates, and congratulations to Sal for winning. My personal opinion is I wish we could have had both of them. And I do hope that Anita runs next year, because I think she'd be an advocate and a strong candidate to have on the school committee. And my only concern, and Janet kind of touched on it with Laura, Sal's got a very big business to run. It's a family business. He's very involved. He's got children in the schools, and he's involved as a coach. Is he going to be able to be at all the events he needs to be at? And you know, I know that he's going to give his heart to it, but is he going to be able to attend all the things he needs to attend? And is he going to run into many conflict of interest issues because he's so ingrained within the schools, you know, with his business? So I'm hoping that he can be beneficial to us and can fulfill the position as well as he should. And I think he's a strong candidate. I think he personally can do it. I just hope that he can effectively do it.
Yeah, with the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pam. Sheila, your thoughts?
Well, I remember Anita when she came to the finance committee meetings with regard to the school budget, and she was absolutely passionate about what she was saying. Every word that came out was extremely articulate. She knew exactly what she was talking about. And so I'm glad that she ran, because she wanted to run for all of the right reasons. And, you know, it was a fantastic campaign. Sal is an amazing businessman, and I truly think with all of his background and, you know, in Chelmsford as a citizen and his business, you know, acumen, that's what pushed him over the edge. I mean, it was name recognition plus the fact that the superintendent had announced his resignation. I think that people at that end, there was about 2 weeks there or a week.
A week.
I think a lot of people might have looked at Sal as his business experience, and that would help because the existing superintendent won't be there.
Yes.
But there was so much respect in that race, and Janet said that before, and I think that goes a long way in saying, you know, how elections can be run the right way.
Yes, yes.
So.
That's so great to see, too, because, you know, I've been doing this show for 20 years now this month, and I've seen a lot of elections over the years, and some of them have been, you might say, unfriendly, and they would say negative things about the other candidate over the phone or whatever. There'd be rumors about them. I'm glad that didn't occur this year in either of these major races, right? I don't think that occurred in any significant way anyway that I noticed. So that's always one, because I like to get along with everybody, and I like to see other people get along with everybody if at all possible. So thank you, Sheila. Janet, your thoughts on school committee race?
I pretty much echo what they've said. You know, two great candidates, and I really hope Anita runs next year. I think her and Sal together would really make for a strong committee, because I really think with Nick's departure, we're losing that business side of the school committee, and if we can have two folks on at the same time, like we used to have, I think it makes the committee that much stronger and gives you a different perspective. But I really did I thought it was a very respectful campaign. You have a lot of respect when people do that, and they don't have to go negative in order to win. I understand your concern about Sal, perhaps not having the time, but I think because he is such a successful businessman that I can't imagine, I mean, what has made him successful so far is not only his drive and his passion, but self-awareness. What are my limits? And I can't imagine that he's gotten this far by making, you know, emotional knee-jerk decisions. Hey, I want to be on the school committee, and I'll think later whether I can attend. So I think he's definitely in. I think he's going to do a fantastic job. You know, honestly, I would think the same could possibly said of Anita. She's a senior VP of finance. I know that takes a lot. I don't know if she travels, but she's got small kids at home. And I mean, I faced that when I was on the school committee. You know, I come home and I'm rushing to get to the school committee meeting. My kids may be sick, and it's that pull, you know, and I need to be at this event, yet my son has a soccer game. What do I do? We all face that. So I have no doubt that Sal will be able to fulfill his responsibilities.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick, your thoughts on the school committee race?
Well, just to add to what Janet was saying, and as well as Pam, as far as, you know, in looking at Sal, he being successful nowadays, the key is time management. So if you can manage your time, and I know with his brothers involved with the business, you know, they're gonna help. And you know, my luxury being in my own business prior gave me a little bit of leeway to take some extra time in the morning or leave early, or, you know, do what I needed to do to take a day off here and there to attend meetings or a day on the hill or whatever. So it gives you a little bit of that leeway. When you start working for someone else, then it becomes extremely difficult. But when you really work for yourself, and in his case, he works for himself, you know, he can make it happen.
Yes.
And when you have a good team around you, and I think he mentioned it a couple of times during debates, when you have a good team, they pick up the slack for you. And I think that's what's important. And as far as Anita's concerned, I thought she was an excellent candidate. I think both candidates were excellent. Choices are always good, you know, and in the past, there haven't really been a lot of choices. It's a tough spot to fill. It really, really is. Having, you know, you're dealing with people's kids, basically, and people get really defensive very, very quickly. And you were on the committee, you were on the committee as well. I don't think anyone on any of the committee, on any of those committees that have been over the years, you know, want to make a bad decision. You know what I mean? They try to make the best decision they think is good for the school district. Everyone may not agree, but you know, it's the best decision for the school district. But it becomes tough, and you know, We talked about cannon fodder
Yes.
before. I mean, that's what happens, you
Yes.
know. But it is what it is. It's, you know, when you take a position in public life, you know, no matter what job it is,
Yes.
you are now part of the public.
Yes.
So you have to take it,
And
you know.
I don't think any officer that is selectman or school committee member gets away unscathed
Sure.
without some public criticism.
Sure.
And even if you host a TV show, for example,
Yeah.
or have a group on Facebook with 1,700 Chelmsford members, I get emails or comments from people.
Sure.
Tom, do you want to leave that post on there? Do you want to leave that
Yeah.
comment? Why are you leaving that comment on there? So anytime you're in the public, you're trying to do good for the community.
Correct.
You're going to get criticism. That's part of politics,
Yeah.
I think. And on the national level, it's even expanded exponentially. And you have to develop a thick skin somehow to realize that's part of your job and don't take it personally, that just sometimes people disagree with you passionately on a political issue and just try to, you know, transcend it. Because the school committee this year, and Dr. Chiano took a lot of guff. You know, I sent out, I think, emails of support. When you were on the school committee,
Yeah.
you probably received
Yeah,
them.
I did.
Because I would see things day in and day out, just criticizing these volunteers, the school committee, working hard, averaging maybe 20 hours a week on a volunteer basis, and then they're getting pilloried everywhere in social media and the press. So periodically I would send a letter, so I hope you don't take it personally, you know. And,
I will-
but
I
they
will-
know that. But it's always good to get positive reinforcement, though. I think that, hey, you're a good person, don't let that bother you.
Because
And
it's so easy for these folks to sit behind the computer, and
Yeah.
even though it's not anonymous and they've got their name, it's so easy to sit there and type, you know, something horrible
Yeah.
about that person, put it out there, and they don't have to actually look them in the eye. They can hide within their house and think, well, maybe I won't see them, you know, for a couple of months at some event, and even then I can kind of scurry away and not have to look them in the eye. And I think it's just very easy for people to say that.
Yes.
And you
It
know,
is.
it's unfortunate, and that I believe is what keeps good people from running.
Correct.
It's not so
Absolutely.
much of the time and the
Oh, yeah.
commitment. It's, am I willing to put myself out there?
And your
Yes.
family.
Yeah, and your
And your
family,
family.
especially those kids that do have Facebook accounts
Yeah.
or social media accounts. Am I willing to put myself and my kids through this so that these, quite honestly, these horrible people can make these awful comments about me just because they disagree on my positions? But
Yes.
You know, it's really funny you say that because little Sal Jr., went to my son Dominic. They're very close friends. They've been friends for many, many years. They played football together.
and I remember when he was actually little.
Yeah, exactly. And Sal went up to Dominic and said, he said exactly, what am I getting into? That's what he said, not what is my dad getting into? What am I getting into? That's what, and I thought that was actually pretty funny, you know. And
they're wonderful children too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, they're
all
great
the-
kids.
all
They're
the
great
children.
kids.
And
They're
I
great
met
kids. It's a
them
great
at
family.
Sal's party.
Yeah, it's a
they were
great
so-
family. It's
the wife and his daughter so beautiful, and the son, very nice
Very
young
respectful.
man. I spoke to him.
Yep.
He never met me before. He was very nice to me, as was his wife and daughter, and Anita's children too.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I met her parents are so wonderful,
Yep.
by the way.
Yep.
They're from Italy, as you may know, and Anita came to this country and didn't even speak English and learned in the school system, which when I went to school, we had some people that came from Italy as well that were learning to speak English. And it's a wonderful thing, and the success she's achieved,
Sure.
Anita Tanini, for example,
absolutely.
and Sal Lapoli,
both of them.
is just
and by the way,
fantastic.
they're both our kids, the Chelmsford
Oh,
kids, right?
Yeah.
they went to
they
the
made
school.
it, they went through our system.
Yeah,
so
thank
so
God,
you know,
you're
so
right.
that says a lot. But I'll add one last thing about that whole thing with I don't think the Lowell Sun really did justice to what happened prior to the election. I think they fueled the fire just for ratings and just to sell paper. And sometimes it's at the expense of the town, the reputation of the town. You know, it just doesn't bode well. It
Yes.
just doesn't bode well. It's one thing to report news. It's another thing to try to make news.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think they just a little too far.
Yes,
You know,
yeah,
so.
I agree. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the specifics of the race this year? How about the debates? This year, I believe there were 5 debates. We started with the Chelmsford Business Association debate, which was very nice, held at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts, right, Janet?
That's
Yeah,
right.
But I was there. I attended almost all the debates, and so that was very interesting. The candidates are up there on the stage. It really is beautiful. Some of you have gone through that. I know Janet did a couple of years ago, And so it must be quite interesting being up there with the spotlight on you and this audience, and then you know you have a pretty big TV audience. So anyway, we had that debate. It started with, then we have, every year we have the League of Women Voters debate, the Chelmsford Democratic Town Committee debate, which was the last one, the Republican Town Committee debate, and the Lowell Sun this year, for the first time, hosted a debate at the Senior Center. So that's how we ended up with 5 kind of formal debates. There was also little gatherings here and there for each candidate. For example, to go to WCAP or to, they all were on this show. Not to, I mean, I always have the candidates on, and that's always it. But I have them on one at a time.
Got a plug.
I used to host I hosted 15 selectmen debates and school committee debates. But what happened was there was just so many debates. It makes it harder for them. It puts unnecessary stress on the candidates. Whereas they come on with other people, not their opponents, they're more comfortable. Yes, they talk about what they hope to achieve, but it's not under that debate pressure, if you know what I mean. So that's the only reason I gave up posting those particular debates, selectmen, school committee, even planning board debates I used to have. So about the debates, what are your overall thoughts? We just have open discussion about all of this. Any comments about the debates, how you think people did? And
What do you think, Pam?
I made 2 debates. I made the CBA debate and the Lowell Sun debate. You know, I thought they were well run.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Okay, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have more. We got a 1-hour show here.
Glad it wasn't me.
No, I know. No, I know. I'm only kidding. But I have a lot to say if you guys don't. But go ahead.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
We can count on you, Tom.
Yeah, because I've attended all the debates. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Any other thoughts about the debates? We must have
Too
some.
many.
Too many.
I thought
okay,
it was
yeah.
too many. You know, 3, maybe 4 is enough, but then you go 5, and then you have the CAP, and it really turns into like this, never-ending. You know, at some point,
It's like a sideshow.
yeah, it's
It starts to lose
It's all the same answers over
Yeah.
and over.
all
All
the
the
same
time.
questions,
Yeah.
especially on the school committee side. I mean, how many times are you going to ask
But it's
the same
different.
few questions?
It's different audiences. So you're answering questions to different parts of the town. So I don't think it was too many. I think it was great that they had
Do you
enough.
really think it's different parts of the town?
I do. I think you're reaching a different audience at each debate, if you want to call it a debate. I think that they were very nice conversations a lot of the times.
Yeah,
I don't think there wasn't anybody out to get anybody else other than the votes.
Yeah.
And I just think it was very fair, and I don't see anything wrong with the amount of events that there were.
Yeah. It was maybe tough for the candidates themselves in terms of their pressure. But in terms of the audience, I attended all the debates except the Lowell Sun one because I was doing a show that night. And it seemed to me that there were kind of different questions. And yes, the essential main questions were there all the time, but they were able to ask each other questions. And I did see quite a variety, so much so that I was interested in each debate. I paid full attention. I think I sat next to you at the Republican debate, right? You and
Yes.
your son were the timekeepers, I believe, with the, and I just found them all very interesting and informative, and I learned so much via debates. But yeah, 3 might have been fine, but 5, I have no problem with it personally.
But the thing with that is, the worst thing during, I think, a campaign is, oops, did I forget something? You wake up in the morning and think, was I supposed to be someplace? And goodness that you forget any of these. So
Well, you need
in that respect, it's a lot. It's
Well,
a
you
lot
need
to
good
handle.
scheduling,
You
yeah,
need
and
a
it
good
may be
manager.
good,
you
some
need
people helping you,
good
a lot of
support.
people helping you, which
Right.
is great.
I think a lot of people in town who don't come out to the parties and aren't active in town politically and don't know the candidates, I think that's how they make their decision. I think they watch the cable TV shows.
Yeah.
That's how they
And-
meet the candidates,
the
and that's how
debates,
they
yes.
decide.
Yes.
So I
And the
think they're
shows.
important to have, because I think that brings out the voters based on
Yeah.
their opinions from the debates.
And I also think, in my opinion, the debates and the TV shows, for example, are more important than reading a position in a newspaper
Right.
because I believe some people have the committee, like, for example, help me write this for the answer
Right.
this question to the Chelmsford Independent or the Lowell Sun or these blogs or whatever. But whereas when you have a debate, what I want to see is how intelligent is that person? And I could tell by how well they answer the question. How does their mind work?
How do they handle
How do
themselves
they handle
under that
themselves? How
pressure?
polite are they to each other? How can they work with this other group of 3 candidates and school committee with one other candidate and the moderator? Are they respectful to each other?
Right.
That to me, and I think to many people watching, is very important. Also, if you get quoted, and this has happened to probably all of us, in the newspapers, very often they make an honest mistake and misquote you or report something wrong. Whereas I feel if it's a live debate or these TV shows, it's right out of their own mouths. So, you know, you really get to hear what they have to say. So I think it's wonderful to have all these debates, and I think they all did a great job by the sorry.
Well, then, and also you have the opinions in the paper, and then you have visual at the debates. People, meaning the community, learn differently from different aspects, and somebody might learn more from listening to somebody, and another person might learn more from reading it in black and white. So, you know, there's a lot of area to cover, but they did it very well.
Yes.
Even though, you know, they all work during the day.
Yes.
They have family commitments or whatever, and then they have to rush to a debate for the next few hours.
Yes.
I mean, it is.
Hard.
It's extremely stressful. But
Yes. But I like attending them. I don't know how you all feel about attending or watching them on TV, but if you like politics, I think you will like it because it's very important and informative. I mean, and it helps you make a decision. It helped me make a decision when I voted as well. I didn't have a dog in the race, so I listened to everybody and tried to evaluate who's going to be the best for the town as a whole for a select person, and who's going to be the best school committee member out of the great candidates that we had this year.
Well, I think
for those.
it helped Laura Merrill a lot because none of us knew Laura before she came out, and so by watching her at debates is where we all learned who she was and
Yes.
what her opinions were.
Yes.
So I think without the debates, she probably wouldn't have done as well as she did.
Yes, that's exactly
it's
right.
free advertising.
Free advertising.
And that's why, as we all know, not only locally but nationally, the incumbents don't want to have debates because it gives visibility to the non-incumbents, to the new people, and the people at home get to know the new people. So you could have, say you have a U.S. senator, you know, say Elizabeth Warren. She may not want somebody brand new to debate her 10 times. She might debate a person once or twice. Ted Kennedy did that all the time. All the people wanted to debate him many times, and he'd always refuse and maybe have one low-key debate somewhere. But that's part of politics, you know. It's part of strategy. You have campaign managers. It's all what goes into politics, and you just got to be as smart as you can running the race so that you win. Why? So you could serve the people the best you possibly can. As Machiavelli said, first thing you have to do is get that power, the office, right?
Yep.
Right? And I'm a big fan of Machiavelli, so as everyone knows about me, you know, but that's what he said. You know, you really have to be very smart because if you want to help people, you got to have the power. If you're not in power, you can't help them politically.
Well, and I think what you're saying is you need to be able to connect with people.
Yes.
And if you can't connect with them some way,
Yes.
then you failed. But obviously, these candidates did not fail at all, and they connected very well.
Yes.
And you
Yeah,
know,
I think all of them.
absolutely.
very
Yeah, so
well.
and I think the debates, well, just in my opinion, I think the school committee debate, for example, I think they both were very intelligent, articulate. I had great responses. Sal Lapoli, I guess, has so much experience as a chief executive of his vast company that he was a great public speaker, I think. You know, very, you know, you could understand him. He was very articulate. You know, you didn't even need the microphone sometimes. You know, he had no problem speaking to people. Anita Tonini also spoke, I thought, very intelligently, articulately, answered the questions thoroughly. They didn't go on and on. So it was great. I thought they both did a great job. Now, the selectmen, there was a more variability, I'd say, with the 4 candidates in the Board of Selectmen. We had 2 incumbents and the 2 challengers. And I think Pat Wojcik maybe seemed to come out really well in all the debates. But they all did a good job. But I thought Pat really seemed to get to the answers quite quickly and intelligently and articulately. So I thought she did a great. And then Laura, being the new person, only 4 years as a town meeting rep, also was there ready with great answers and spoke honestly too about what she felt. She's coming in there to try to help us keep our tax increases as low as possible. Maybe not, we can't lower the tax, but maybe keep the increases as low as possible. And other things, she was very concerned about open space. I think that came across very completely. So anyway, that's my comments about the debates. Any other comments about the debates before we move on? Oh, well, how about the mailings? Why don't we talk a little about the mailings? There weren't too many this year. Well, the first one I received was from Sal Lapoli, which was at the middle of March. It was like 2 or 3 weeks before the election. So I'm glad you got a one-shot there, Vilu. Our director, Vilu, is doing a great job, as usual. So there you can see this big postcard that Sal Lapoli's campaign sent out. There's Sal here, and there's, well, that's a picture there. And then he has some bullet points here on the left side. And in the back, he has a picture of Sal and his beautiful family there. And with some bullet points also about why you should vote for Sal Lapoli on Election Day. So that's an expensive mailing, I would say, but that came out about 2 or 3 weeks before the election. And that was the only one that I received that was that early. Did anybody else receive the very early one? Okay, great. Then I was, the week before the campaign, the election is when I get most of them. Generally that Thursday, Friday, Saturday before the Tuesday election. But this year, Sal Lapoli, I got the day before the election, another big mailing by Sal. Did you guys get this?
Yes, I did.
So you see this
And it
one.
seems as though he sent one to each voter in the House. Because we got 2. I got my own.
Wow, yeah,
and
you're
Bill
right.
got-
This one doesn't say Cristiano family. It says, see Thomas Cristiano.
Yeah.
You're right. Wow, so that must
How
have
many
been.
did you get in your household?
We got a total of 3 or 4.
Wow.
So
Hopefully
there you
all
go.
the voting age people.
Well,
right?
of course.
Yeah.
But
Right.
no, as a matter of fact, it's funny. The 2 boys, when they came home for spring break, went to town hall to get absentee ballots sent to them. So
Right.
that I was really
Wow.
excited about that. I was
Very nice.
excited about that
Nice,
just because they
yeah.
wanted to be involved
Right.
and they wanted to cast a vote. And, you know, I was joking with them. They're like, so who'd you vote for Selectman? And the boys were like, well, I'll just say, George is like my uncle. That's what the boys said. And we won't even talk
We
about.
all have
won't
one of
talk-
those.
Yeah, we won't even talk about the school committee
race,
because
yeah.
the boys were coached by Sal.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. Anybody that was coached by Sal, it's an undying loyalty. Trust me.
Well, and that's another interesting part of I think the school committee is that extra dynamic of having someone like Sal run. Hopefully that then encouraged
The kids.
the kids
Absolutely.
to get out and vote. So hopefully
Yep.
next year they're going to get out and vote again. You know, they saw it happen. You know, if they voted for Sal, they saw some success, and that encourages them to keep running.
They
so
got
I
their
think that's
mail-in
another
ballots
big
Yeah.
the
plus.
same day they returned them.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed.
That was
on their
wonderful.
own.
Yeah,
I was,
that's
So there's a benefit right there.
right.
Very good
Yep.
point.
That's
yes. So there's this postcard, the second postcard from the Lapoli campaign that I received the day before the election. There's a nice photo there of Sal Lapoli, and I think all the candidates dressed professionally for all the debates and the mailings, et cetera. And I think that's very important. Doesn't he look like a, he could be a senator there, a governor, right? A great Italian American there.
yeah.
Both candidates. And then on the back we have a lot of additional information. Another nice picture of Sal with his beautiful family there. So I received 2 mailings from the Lapoli campaign. Did anybody receive any more than that? Than 2? No? Okay. Now,
You didn't miss out.
okay. Yeah, right. I'd be angry. So I received this nice postcard from the Tanini campaign, Anita Tanini. And you can see a nice picture of Anita here on the front of the postcard. And this I received on April 2nd. So it was about that Thursday before the election. And so it has a nice picture of Anita on the front. She had the consistent colors also on her signs, yellow with the red writing, if I recall correctly. And on the back, we have a nice summary as to why someone should vote for Anita Tanini, and a nice photo of Anita with one of her sons. So any other thoughts about, did anybody receive any more additional postcards than this?
Just that one. I thought it was a very, very nice card. Very well done.
Yeah.
Nice bright colors. I saw it immediately. Love the
Yeah.
picture of
Right.
obviously her in the front. She looks professional,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
on the back, you know,
Family
the
picture
the
is
family
close, yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Had all the right things on it. Even really like the little tiger print or the lion.
The paw.
The paw, the
Yeah.
Chelmsford paw on there.
Yeah, and
So
nice,
I
the
thought that was a
lion.
nice way to kind of tie it all together.
Nice.
Brings it all together.
Yeah.
And she has highlights there, about Chelmsford is highlighted in bold. Finance, rebuild the trust, highlighted in bold.
Yep.
2 young children, highlighted in bold print. Tuesday, April 7th, the election day highlighted and school committee highlighted. And then she said, I would appreciate your vote on Tuesday, April 7th to have the honor of serving you on the school committee, which is very polite, respectful.
You have to ask for the vote.
Yes, on mailings like this,
Yeah.
100% I agree with that.
Yep.
Always asking these mailings and
Yep.
and the debates as well.
We couldn't lose. I mean, either
Yeah.
one is Italian, so I mean,
Right, I know.
I
It
knew
was
that
an
would come out.
Italian year that we
Exactly.
had a one Italian, Louis Marino, running for selectman.
and George is almost.
Oh, that's right. I
He's
call him
almost
my
Italian because
my-
if you look at this looks like a pizzeria button.
Yeah, right. I call him my capo, George, too. So, well, since we're talking about the school committee, why don't we also cover the buttons too for the school committee race? You can see this is Anita Tonini. She kept that yellow and red theme. Oh my God! Here we go. The yellow and red theme for her button, which is very nice, right? She.
It was nice and bright. I mean,
Yes,
you
you can see it.
definitely knew
Yeah.
that was her button. So that was great.
Okay, great. And Salapoli also had a very bright button with the nice contrasting. You could really read the Salapoli there,
Yeah.
no problem. So I think they both had nice buttons on the school committee race there.
Absolutely.
We might as well talk about the other buttons while we're at it. The biggest one was with Laura Merrill's. Oh, here we go, sorry. So Laura Merrill had a nice red, white, and blue button,
Yep.
which is very nice. And then Pat Wojcik had the same theme that she had in previous campaigns, and I agree with that. No sense reinventing the wheel all the time.
It works.
If it
Yeah,
works,
right.
you might as well, use it again. And then I have this button that George Dixon had, which is
Yeah, and a little bit. This could be a little bit of a tint of green, and he could be selling pizza tomorrow.
yeah.
George gets it delivered.
George gets it delivered. That's it.
The only one we don't have is I didn't have one for Louis Marino. I don't know if he had buttons. I don't think he
I
did.
don't know.
David.
I know he had red and white signs.
For some,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And he had a few cards that he would have, like at the debates, that people could pick up. So, any comments about the buttons before we move on?
I didn't see as many people around town wearing buttons as I had in the
no.
past. I think, I think buttons are kind of waning away.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
It
Yeah.
is, but I used to see people all the time around town with a button on their lapel, on their coat or something, and
Right.
I didn't see as many
That's
this
right.
year.
That's right.
When-
But I think things change.
And when I first moved into town, I remember the first couple of elections, people drove around with the placards on top of their car. I know for our first election,
yeah.
we did that.
Sure.
We had placards. I still got a couple at home.
Yeah,
that-
and Judy
that was-
Millette had
yeah,
huge signs on
exactly.
the cars. and
Exactly.
She even had it.
But I didn't see any of that
That
this
doesn't
year.
No.
happen anymore.
No, isn't that?
Yeah.
Why
That
is
was
that?
strange.
That's a good question. A lot of those things don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Like a van, and it's got the horn on the
Exactly.
top.
Well, it's not, but in town, people drove around with big signs on the
Oh, I
side,
know.
side of
Right.
the cars and the ones on top of the cars.
Yep.
And like I said, we had them on our cars for a couple of elections and stuff.
Yes,
But I
yeah.
thought it was,
But it makes it festive. It makes it fun.
does, I
and
think.
you know what's
so.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's
Do you
the
remember
sign
when,
holding.
what was that gentleman's name that had the big, huge sign up at Drum Hill?
Oh.
He was,
But that wasn't even for selectmen. Wasn't
No,
that for
that-
planning board or something?
no, was it for sewer commission?
Yes, so we're
I know which one
yeah.
you're talking about. There on the
Yeah.
corner.
Yeah,
They're
what is
huge.
his
giant-
name there? Yeah.
Was
yeah.
it Jeff?
Jeff Hardy?
No.
No.
Jeff, sorry.
Is
Sorry,
it
Jeff.
Jeff Miller?
Jeff Miller.
Right.
Miller.
Jeff Miller.
Miller.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he had
Yeah.
a huge sign.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It was
he won
it
that
was- yeah.
election, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he
Yeah.
did. Yeah. So getting back to the mailings, right? Why don't we talk a little bit? Why I received.
But we
one-
remember that, right?
Oh
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I received one mailing from the Pat Wojcik campaign.
I thought that was well done as well.
Well done.
Yeah.
You can see Pat has her portrait here on this side, and she talks about some of her bullet points of her background, and then why she's asking for your vote in a little summary format in the back, a little note. And she ends with, I respectfully request one of your 2 votes for selectman for Pat Wojcik on Election Day, Tuesday, April 7th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sincerely, Pat. So that was nice, a nice postcard, and she talks about why people should vote for her.
Yep.
I thought it was great for Pat, and here's why. She's so direct. She's to the point. There's no frills. She's just a good, solid person, and I think the card really reflects that.
Yes.
And that's what you want to grab somebody's attention right up front, and then
And
also not too many words, just get the
Yes.
point across very succinctly, which I think she did too.
very
And I
well.
also received this on April 2nd, so the same date I received Anita's postcard.
You had a
I
busy day.
I had a busy day in that mailbox, oh my God. So but that's good, like, you don't want to be too early sometimes if you're going to have one mailing, because people forget about it. You don't
Yeah.
want to be too late, because it might come after the election, as has happened
Right.
once or twice
Or
here
some
in
people,
Chelmsford.
I think it was when I ran, it came like 2 weeks before the election or something. I was like, oh no, you know, I kind of felt bad for that person.
Yeah.
What
It was
the
just bad
person running
timing.
for, do
Yeah.
you remember?
Selectman
Oh, and it was somebody running,
against me,
Against you?
and
Oh.
it came early.
and you felt bad that they
Because
had
the
it too
timing.
early? I would think you would be
Well,
say, oh yeah, blow your money early.
well, you never want to see, you know, I don't know. It goes back to
Don't let it fool you
the.
for
Yeah.
1 second. She was like,
I know.
No.
I know. What kind of Machiavelli thing is that?
Is that why you were pointing at me? No.
Oh, I'm sorry, my opponent didn't do better, but no, I'm really kidding.
You're trying to say
You know what I mean?
it goes back to the respect.
It goes back to the respect, and it also goes back to if you keep it a nice, friendly environment, then more people will run. But when people are ugly about it, people start going, I'm not going to subject myself to that. And I think, hopefully these two elections, which I think for the most part went well, especially on the school committee side, I think they were all very respectful, especially behind the scenes. I wasn't aware of any goings on behind the scene, but at least for the school committee, I think hopefully they set a new standard on how people should run a campaign and how they should conduct themselves.
Yes, and I agree with that entirely, Janet. I was just saying sometimes it might have been better if for that campaign if they were a little closer to the election. But you don't have to help their campaign.
Yeah.
you're giving
But you
political
can-
tips for nothing now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can still be respectful, as
Yeah.
we all agree.
Because
we
I think
want
that's
that.
and it's the big difference between somebody running to be a public servant and somebody running to be a politician. I think when someone's running to be a politician, that's when you start seeing a little bit of the shady things, right? But when someone says, I'd really like to serve,
Yes.
it's just a completely different feel of that person.
Yes.
It
And that's where they're positive.
Yes.
And that's what comes out in the debates, and I think Chelmsford is very astute in, understanding that, going
Yeah.
for the right people for the right job.
Yes.
Exactly.
So for Pat Wojcik, in addition to this postcard, at the debates and things, we had a card like Lou Marino had, had little handouts.
I never saw
This
that.
one it's a nice little like business card size, has a nice picture of Pat in the front, and then in the back it says candidate for selectman, and then her education and her experience and chairman of the board of selectmen, et cetera. Also put in the new polling locations this year, because this year we had new polling locations for some of us. So that was nice for Pat. And then for Laura Merrill, who was one of the two winners for the selectman race, I received this also on the 2nd of April. So that
Look at a
Thursday-
mailbox
yeah.
didn't tip over. It's so heavy.
Did you bring a backpack to the mailbox?
Poor mailman had the big truck.
He had a dump truck. Empty it into the mailbox for Christiano. So Laura has a nice postcard here with a nice sign, which is consistent with her button there, the Laura Merrill, red, white, and blue, and yellow. No, red, white, and
And
blue,
blue,
yes.
yep.
Oh, little yellow strips. And so she has a nice photograph of herself on front, and what her bullet points: property tax relief, fiscal responsibility, and open space preservation. And I think she was consistent throughout the campaign, right, with those themes. I think anytime somebody talked about it, well, they always mention the property tax relief. Sometimes they forget the other things that you talked about. She was really involved and interested in many issues in town.
I think she was a steward, right? An open space
Oh,
steward
really?
for a while.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
was it Oak Hill that she likes to walk in over there? Anyway, some
I believe so,
place
'cause
near
she's
her
in North
home.
Chelmsford.
In North Chelmsford,
Right.
she
Yeah.
loved to walk
but I believe
there.
she was a steward in that.
Yeah, she might have helped out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then on the back of this, we have a picture of Laura with two of her two children here, who are very nice. I guess, are they in Chelmsford school system
Yes.
as well? I think they are.
Yeah.
Great, great. And so that was a nice mailing too. And I didn't receive a mailing from Louis Marino. He might not have had as much money because I don't think he didn't have a big campaign party or maybe other fundraisers the way the others did, I think. Oh my God, our time is
I didn't
zipping by.
receive
I
one
told you.
from George. Did George have a mailing?
I didn't receive anything.
I think so.
I got a personal call.
Oh,
Of course.
It wasn't a robocall. It was George.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Big Nick.
And so speaking of robocalls, I only received one this year from Louis Marino. You wonder if he's going to spend money, he spends it on a robocall. Did you all get that or whatever? Anyway, I got a robocall
Yep.
from. However, this year I saw some people with angry comments on social media, or whatever, about they hate these robocalls.
Yeah.
Whoever commented. Any thoughts about the robocalling? No.
I mean, I figured I've never done robocalls, but I figured for some folks in town that was a standard for them. So I was a little surprised that
Yeah.
you know people had those comments about robocalls.
They-
But you know, I come home sometimes at night, and I mean, I've got robocalls for Marco Rubio and everybody else. I'm sure there's one for Hillary. Well, not on our machine, but maybe
machine
your
might have
machine.
burned up, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it would automatically reject it. But
Probably catch fire.
yeah, but you know, it's that time, and
yeah.
you know, we're going to have all these calls. So it is. It's a bit of a nuisance, but you know what? I also remember them.
I actually miss, you know, when you get calls from, you know, solicitors at night. I miss when the kids were young. Because I'd pick up the phone and be like, "Hi, I'm so and so," and I'd be, "Hold on a second." I'd give it to one of the kids. "Hi, this is Dom." It was the best.
Yeah,
I
nice,
miss that. I really do.
I'm guessing you didn't do that
Yeah.
to George.
No, I wouldn't do that to George. Big Nick. Hey, George.
So as far as the robocalls are concerned, given what I've seen this year in terms of the response, if I had a limited budget next year running for a townwide office, I just wouldn't do the robocalls. I'd spend it more on the nice postcards, nice signs. And we had some beautiful signs, by the way. The sign holding, some people had some nice big signs this year, which I think really helped them win. Laura Mira, for example, had some of them. One was right on North Road, 2 big signs that people passed by over by 495. Also in the center, there was big signs for the sign holding. So any thoughts about the sign holding
I have
this
to
year?
agree with you. I think the signs around town and the postcards are the 2 major items
Yeah.
on top of the debates
Yes.
that help to win an election.
Yes.
Well, and
the
also-
TV shows, excuse me, right?
And the TV
local
shows.
TV
The
shows.
local
Yeah.
TV shows.
And also,
Sorry, Pam. Sorry.
Another plug. Gotta keep going.
And also
You need to
just,
hold a placard.
Chelmsford Telemedia, you know, not many people either know it or they take advantage of it. I remember Coffee with George when he ran,
Yeah.
you know, the last cycle. But, you know, the candidates can come and do a 30-minute
Yep.
Yep.
interview. They can do these little 30-second plugs, and it's all free.
Yes.
So Chelmsford Telemedia is an excellent resource for candidates.
It is.
Absolutely.
I highly recommend it. And
Yeah.
there's a
Very
great
effective.
production crew that Vilu and Pete Padula.
They
and
offer the
Diane
camera for free, and
Dan.
yeah.
They help out tremendously.
Yeah.
And will give you a lot of advice too. And but also next year for Selectmen, we have Janet Askenburg who's going to be up next year. And I won't put you on the spot, Janet, or anything by asking you to pick it up.
Do it.
And Matt Hansen are up for re-election next year. So any thoughts about who might run or not run next year? I don't want to.
You're not looking me in the eye. Well, I mean, basically, until I say otherwise, I plan to run.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, with anything else, I just have to see how the year progresses with work, with family. But you know, I love being a selectman, and we'll just see.
Charlie Baker might step down. You might want to step in.
For governor.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'll just step right in.
There you go. Not a problem.
Yeah, you're going to get me going on state
Yeah.
politics now,
No,
mentioning
no,
Charlie
no.
Baker, which, so I won't say anything about
No,
that,
no.
but I don't want to get started.
I actually mentioned that
But-
last night about, you know, because I voted against the budget this year, and then for the warrant article, and Paul voted, or, you know, against Paul, and I said, I hate to do that, but we're in this position now where we're all arguing over pennies, and I think it's because we don't have good
We
representation.
don't have any representation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, at the state.
And
level.
we're sending so much to Beacon Hill, and we're getting back such a small fraction, and that's our money, and we should be getting it back, and it's very frustrating.
Are you talking about our 4 representatives?
And our senator.
Yeah.
Yep.
May I respectfully disagree with you?
Sure.
'Cause they're your friends.
They're my friends, and I
Exactly.
also do think they're working very
Yeah,
hard
but you know
for
what?
us.
I love my mother, but I don't want her to be my state senator.
Excellent
But-
point.
No, and I understand. We just have a respectful difference of opinion. I hope it's respect. I respect your opinion, but I know them all very well. In fact, Tom Golden's been on the show
But
20
we
times.
need OPEB.
I know them very well.
We
yeah.
need
But
OPEB
they're-
reform. We need to have that difficult conversation, and I know that may not get somebody reelected, but you have to do it because we're struggling, and I'm arguing with the town manager over it, and now we're going to town meeting, and we're going to be all discussing, and it's a split, and it's very divisive, and it's because we're having to do that because not enough of our own tax dollars are coming back to us, and it's very
know.
frustrating.
And it's
Yeah.
not Jimmy or Tommy. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
Okay, they inherited.
doing what they can.
They're doing what
They
they
are.
can and what they should do. They're doing exactly what Jim Arciero is doing. Exactly what he should do. He needs to represent the majority of the people in his district. Well, guess what? The majority of the
Right.
people are in Westford.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can't blame him. I respect him for that. That's what he's supposed to do. What I'm upset with is not them. I'm upset that we do not have our representation. We
Yep.
should
Right.
have our own representative.
Maybe
You know?
someday we will again, like we did with Carol Clevin.
I hope so. I
Yeah,
hope
maybe
so.
And
someday we
until
will.
and
But
until
all I know
then,
is they-
we're fighting over pennies.
Correct.
Yeah, but
Now-
all I know is they're trying,
and-
as you said, very hard, working very hard
Yep.
to do the best they can for us in Chelmsford. I see them here at many of our events, and that kind of
Yeah,
trying to
and no
represent
one's
us.
questioning that.
I'm sorry, you were going to say something else? That
Well,
time is running out.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just real quick. I did one of the key reasons why I supported Sal is because he has a lot of connections down in Beacon Hill, and I'm hoping those connections will bring some support to Chelmsford, and that was
Some
one of the big things.
visibility.
Correct.
I hope so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And attention. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, getting back to the next year, Matt Hansen is also up. We don't know whether he's going to run or not, right? We're going
Too
to
soon.
see on that. And
Way too soon.
Great. Well, way too soon. Now, in school committee, we have Evelyn Thorne up next year and Barbara Scar. Any information on that, or do we know if they're going to run
Early.
again? We don't know,
Too
right?
soon.
Nobody knows.
What kind of term will that be for Evelyn? That has to be
Oh,
her
I think she's been-
37th term.
Yeah, I think she's been serving for about 18 years now.
Oh, more than that. I think she's north
school
of 20
committee?
years.
I don't know.
I don't know about
don't
I think
know.
that.
this is her
it's more like
18.
I think, yeah, that's
Really?
right.
Isn't
Yeah.
it?
I thought
The
she was
Godfather
north
knows.
of- Sorry. Who am
He
I
has
to
a
question?
spreadsheet.
Who am I to
I'm only
question?
kidding, Nick, but I think I do remember, saying that fairly recently.
I can't imagine that either of them would not run.
Okay, yeah,
So-
yeah, maybe they will, yeah.
I'm pretty confident
And with
they'll
the
still
two
be
of them
there.
running and Anita running,
That's right.
and I know of one other person
one other
looking
person
to
already-
run,
one
at
other
least
person
one other
already-
person.
yeah, already
It
told
could
me
be
they're gonna
another
run.
exciting school committee race.
And I'm so glad these individuals are willing to serve in a
Yeah.
Very
time-consuming
true.
capacity.
Oh, yeah,
Sheila,
absolutely.
all 3 of you have been on the school committee and the one on the planning board. Do you know how much time this takes? And
Yeah.
it's a wonderful thing. If we have maybe 2 incumbents running again and maybe 1 or 2 other people to run for this very difficult job where you're going to get criticized. So I thank you all for running. Also, just quickly, the old fire station, it was demolished on election day, actually. Started being demolished and pretty much, our time has run out. We have to demolish it. No, not demolish the tape though. We got to keep the tape of this show. It was a wonderful show. I thank you all so much. It was really an interesting, I hope you all enjoyed it.
Very
Absolutely.
much so.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
hope I
Thank you,
wasn't
Tom.
too hard on you or anything, no.
Not even close.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you,
for-
Tom.
I can't wait for you to get on the top 20 as well as thank you, Sheila.
Appreciate
Pichette, Nick
it.
Thank you,
DeSilvio.
Tom.
Thank you, double digits now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pamela
Thank you for
Armstrong.
having me.
2 more in the top
Come on,
20.
I'm waiting
You'll
for
be
my
there.
invites.
And thank you very much, Janet
Thank you.
Askenburg.
It was a lot of fun.
And thank you all for serving on your various boards that you have been on or are currently on. And thank our wonderful crew. We have Tom and Azora and Larry, our wonderful camera crew, and our great director, Vilu Tari. If you have any comments on the show, please send me an email at tchristiano@comcast.net. I hope to see you around town soon because there's a lot of things going on now that spring is here. You'll see me on the bike path almost every day, and so I hope to see you all around. Thanks for watching. Ciao.